Hi, my name is Joe Nathan, and today's date is July 25th. And just want to talk for a few minutes about what I see going on right now in our world. And we're really being bombarded with a lot of information right now, a lot of things going on all at the same time. And this is really to distract and confuse the general public. We've been hit with the coronavirus, which shut us down. And then we started to reopen. And then we got another surge that now we're reclosing businesses and the economy. We're closing churches again, closing the schools again, asked to stay home. And when you go out, wear a mask. There's a lot of things that's going on, and people that have just gone back to work may have to be furloughed again. And people reopening their small businesses are now having to reclose those businesses. Okay, so we know all that is going on, right? That's what's happening. But at the same time, we are trying to be made to believe that what we see is not the reality of what's happening. It's mind control. We see these things happening, but is it really real? Is that the real reasons why? It's like a magician who, is doing these tricks and he's using his hands as an optic because he wants you to focus on what he's doing to make you think that he's got this magic that he can bring about. And, some of the stuff they do is pretty amazing, when you look at it and you see them doing this magic. But at the same time, because of the optics and all the things that are going on, you don't see what's really going on down here. The trick is down here, but yet the magic's here because this is what's happening. It reminds me of an episode of the Three Stooges, and I'm sure a lot of you that are as old as I am, you'll know this segment. It's the Niagara Falls segment. And Mo would get triggered when he heard Niagara Falls. And he would say, "Slowly I turned, step by step, inch by inch." And then he'd slap him, bop him in the head, punch him in the stomach, and knock him to the ground. That's what's happening with our society right now. Slowly, they're moving us from one thing to the next, step by step. And what happens is when you lose certain liberties, certain freedoms, you never get them back. So they're continuing to take a little bit of our freedom at a time so that they can move us into a one world government. So right now, we're in a trial run. They're seeing how easy it is to control the population. They want to control us. Slowly, they turn. With all of the events that have happened that led up to the George Floyd situation. which was tragic. But then it moved away from that into Black Lives Matter, where they were out helping to protest what happened to George Floyd. You can only keep that going for so long before it starts to quiet down. But the protests ratcheted up because there were a bunch of people brought into the mix that were not even concerned about what happened to George Floyd or Black lives. And they started rioting, tearing down the communities, because that moved us to the next stage of the big plan. Forget about the magic in the hands, because a lot of what you see is not the real thing. And then at the same time, a lot of what you see is the real thing. That's what makes this whole thing so confusing to a lot of people, because you don't know what to believe. I mean, look at our society right now and where we are and where we've come from, and how we have thought one way about the United States of America, and at the same time it's been something else. The agenda has always been to move us into this one world government. And now, because there was no plan B to get us there, that's why there's so much stuff being thrown out to see what sticks. Because Obama was supposed to leave the White House, and Hillary was supposed to enter the White House to continue what the plan was. And like a train that gets derailed from the tracks, it stops everything, right? I mean, if you're on a freight train or a passenger train and it derails, it comes off the track. So now we have to deal with this thing instead of continuing on our agenda, our schedule, to be in a certain place at a certain time. Now you have to deal with whatever's in the cargo, whatever the cargo is, and also repairing the derailed trains or putting a new one on the track so that the agenda can continue down the road. And that's what happened when Trump got thrown in there. Boom. Elected by God, chosen by God to put a halt to some of this madness. And I know a lot of people really like Trump, but they're afraid to say it. And then there's a small group of people that hate him, and then there are people that hate Trump and don't even really know the reasons why they hate him. All they know is that the media is telling them, hate Trump, hate Trump. He's not good. He's a bad guy. He's a racist. Yet, he has done so much that's been good for our country. And that's what I mean about there are things that are happening that you see that are actually good things that are happening. But we're being told that those things aren't good. That's not what's really going on, even though the results of a lot of what he's done has been positive. But we're being told that it's not good, so people believe that, and that's what they go with. And then at the same time, with all of this going on, we are hit with a national coin shortage at the same time. It's another thing that uh, that needs to happen to move us into a new world order. And this shortage is supposed to be temporary, is what they're saying. And they're not making coins because of COVID-19. So they can't make coins right now. So this will allow us to really be moved into a cashless society and moving us there fairly quickly. And what's interesting about that is I'm okay with a cashless society because most of the time I don't even carry cash. Most of the time I'm swiping my cards wherever I go. So it's not the coin shortage that concerns me, it's where it's going to move us to. Like I mentioned earlier, step by step, inch by inch. So if we can eliminate our history, if we can tear down all the statues and eliminate all of the history, if we can defund the police and get them out of the cities, if we can remove Trump from office, like Nancy Pelosi said, we might have to drag him out of there. They might have to drag him out of the White House. If we can do all those things, then it opens the door for us to be controlled by something else. And we all know that the police officers aren't that bad. You know, it's just like anything else in life that you do or see. There might be a small group in different organizations, different companies, you know, sports teams that are not good people. But that shouldn't equate to everybody. All the police officers aren't bad. I have a lot of friends that are police officers. So I know that those guys and some women are just like me. You know, they get up and go to work, hope they can come back home and see their family. And we're doing it all to take care of our family. But yet those guys, they have a greater sworn duty because they have taken a vow to serve and protect. So there is a loyalty there to our citizens, but we want to really defund those guys? Do we really want to do that? We are not going to be left to having no policing. I just want you to know that. That's not going to happen. We're going to be policed by somebody. Because without any type of authority, there is chaos. I mean, look at what's happening in some of the cities right now. Look what happened in Minneapolis. Look what's happening in Portland. Because the authorities have decided they're going to step back and they're going to let these people just have their way. As a matter of fact, we're going to join them. And because there's no authority, men go absolutely nuts. So, can you imagine what will happen if there aren't any police officers? And a lot of these guys, man, are just completely torn down over this whole thing because a lot of them really do have a good heart toward what they're doing and protecting the citizens of their communities. And now, because of a few bad cops and because of how the media and this leftist group of people want control, that they're making the cops look like they're the enemy when they are actually the enemy. So whenever you hear the media say something, it's the opposite. It's what they want to do. And so by trying to remove all of the authority and take away the history of our country, which a lot of our youths now is not even learning about the history of our country. A lot of the young millennials that are out on the street don't even know the history of our country because no one's teaching them. We're tearing them all down and we're saying that none of this stuff is good for our country. And because of that, they don't have a lot of history behind what those statues are and what they really mean. And either way, for me, if we want to tear down a statue, what does that really do? How does that better our lives? But the whole point is to remove authority so that this leftist group can have all of authority. All of it ties together, even with the coin shortage. It all ties together because having a one world government means that you will need to have a one world system. So all the